This is Aesthetically Trained, the podcast. Pushing you to year-on-year progression. With your host, Ross McKinley.
Yo, Ross McKinley, Aesthetically Trained, latest episode of the podcast. I've got a very special guest. When I'm training on Instagram, Facebook, whatever you follow us on, you might have seen this big scary guy that I train with. And the chances are you're wondering, who the fuck is that? So he's here, Jerome Scherrer. He is one of my very, very good pals, my training partner, and he's also a fantastic coach. So we're going to talk about training, his life. He's been in the Marines, you're going to learn lessons from that, and also how he gets such good results now with his clients. We're going to be discussing the differences between intermediate, beginner, advanced, all training styles. We're going to talk a little bit about his career, how he's got to where he is now. It's going to be sick. So, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for doing it. We've also got, for those of you watching on YouTube, you might be able to see this big hard man has a tiny little dog next to him. So we've also got a dog in. Those of you just listening to the audio, you can go check it out on YouTube. But Jerome, thank you for coming on.
It's alright, mate. It's a pleasure.
For the people that are listening, that are watching, if you had to go back, if you had to start, if you had to introduce yourself, take it away. Take a couple of minutes.
My name's Jerome. I'm from a small town in Scotland on the west coast. I left home when I was 17 and joined the Marines. I left the Marines in late 2014, and after that I worked abroad. So I was 40 last year, so getting old now. I've got knees like Velcro, and I've lived up here for about 5 years now.
Yeah. So Jerome's Instagram handle or his account on social media is The Muscle Mechanics, so you might have seen that. But we met, when did we meet? We met in probably 2016.
Yeah.
Through one of my friends, Andy Carl. But then,
Right,
but then you done the 28-day challenge, didn't you? And we kind of ended up becoming friends. We got on a lot of stuff. But essentially, we train together once or twice, as you do with people. Sometimes I'll say to lads I'm working with, let's train, let's have a session and see how hard they're training. And fuck me, he trained hard. So we had a good couple of sessions together, and then from there, the friendship grew, if you like. And I always said if I moved back to Leeds, that I wanted to train with Jerome, and that I wanted to spend some time training really hard with him. We've done that since. And then alongside that, since 2014, since you've come out the Marines, you've also been building this business, and you're doing a lot of PT now and cranking out some good results. So how did you go from the Marines to PT, mate? How did that happen in 2014?
Well, in 2014 I didn't start PT.
Right, okay.
So I worked for the American government in Afghanistan and Iraq, moving various items around the country for money. Guns, gold and drugs.
Yeah.
Makes the world go round. I started PT I did the qualification in 2016.
Yeah.
But went back to work again on the circuit because it's kind of like the better the devil you know.
Yeah.
I didn't know any different. I took my first job in an actual gym, in Pure Gym, in late 2017 coming to 2018.
Yeah.
And I still thought you have to train everybody like you would train a Marine. So I had my first client was called Bev.
Yeah.
And I trained her like she was a week 5 recruit, and it didn't work. So I was like, this is not working.
Just beefed her.
Yeah, nobody wants to join the Marines.
Yeah.
So I had to take a step back, and I went to work for a class-based organisation called Tribe, and I did that for quite a while, where I did classes, HIIT-based workouts, and that worked well for me because there was up to 36 people coming in a class, and I just organised it like I would a sort of military operation, so I could move people around, and I did various different exercises. This was the time before, though, I wasn't really into bodybuilding at all. I did a lot of bodyweight stuff. I didn't understand a lot of the idea behind how you train properly. Yeah. I just used to do a lot of stuff, but a lot of stuff is just gets you nowhere. Yeah. It's just a lot, and I was fatigued a lot. Still doing a lot of running, a lot of bodyweight exercises. And then it wasn't until I met Jess, who I live with now, as my missus now, that I started looking into further my education and she really pushed me down that hole of, you know, you can be better and you can get a better education, and then that's when I sort of really started to grow, and I went and really started to pay attention and learn from other coaches that had a higher level of knowledge that I was seeking to get, and that sort of brought me to where I am now, because I worked at Ultraflex for about a year and a bit actually. So I started on the reception just so I could get to know the people in the gym, and I picked up a few clients, and I still have one client now from then, Rob, the old OG. Yeah, he's class, he's done great. And so I learnt my trade at Ultraflex out of the way. I didn't really have much, and that's where you first came to train with me. We did legs. But if you go back to when we did the 28-day challenge, when I did it, that was the first time. That kind of set me on the road to wanting to do more, because I lost a bit of weight and I wasn't really knowing what I was doing. And doing that 28 days, like I didn't go all in, I'll be honest. And I could have done way more. But that set me to where I am now.
Give you the structure probably you hadn't had.
Yeah, gave me the structure and the understanding, to get to where I was wanting to be, and then I did a bodybuilding show, and then I moved on from there.
Yeah. I think one of the things that certainly were recent in the last episode, and I'm sure with everyone that I talk to, and I know it's one of the questions we're going to touch on later is about PTs and industry and stuff, but I think that the people that end up doing well almost serve this apprenticeship phase. No matter what age you are, no matter what level you think you're at, what your ego is, the people who strip it back and say, I need to go and learn, I need to spend some time, like what you said there, building relationships with people working in Ultraflex, where you weren't PTing as much then, but you were getting comfortable in the gym, you were speaking to people, you're probably transitioning out of your previous life as well and what you were doing there, so it'd probably give you time to change. And I think that is massive, like in terms of, like I say, we're going to get onto it in a minute, so I'm not talking about too much, but to give you that time to adjust and also build up some knowledge and some competence in an area where I think right now a lot of people are trying to go from 0 to 100 like mega quick, aren't they? They're trying to jump in too fast. So what would you say led you to PT? Obviously in the Marines, no doubt that was mega physical.
Yeah, it was,
Would you say there's some, not similarities, but was it a particular buzz that you were getting in the Marines that you maybe thought you were going to get from training? Was it helping people and being as part of a team, or what kind of made you, I guess first going right back, what made you join the Marines is the first question, then what kind of then made you think into PT?
I can answer joining the Marines quite easily. That was just to get out of Scotland. It was either work in a fishing boat or join the military.
Right.
And that's an easy answer.
So when was that? How old were you? 17?
Yeah, 1998 I joined.
I would have been 6 years old.
So I joined, and I turned 18 in training, so it was 1998 when I joined. 17 at the time.
Fuck me.
Yeah. Like, no internet.
Yeah.
Mobile phones. Phone boxes.
and then you were in until you were...
I was in until I was 34.
Yeah.
And then what kind of brought me to being a PT is, one very naive factor is that I love to work out, and I thought everybody loves to work out, so they'll pay me for it.
Yeah.
That is a stupid answer, and if people are doing that now, then they need to reassess what they're thinking.
Yeah.
And the second one was actually, I wanted to be more fulfilled, so I thought maybe fulfillment, which I have now, would come from helping others achieve something
class
that they didn't think they could do themselves.
Yeah.
But again, it wasn't until I met you that I didn't realise that they also have to pay for that.
Yes.
So like I trained somebody for free for a long time, but I also did that because I hadn't had no experience and didn't know who else to train, so I trained my mate. Yeah. And he got a great result. Yeah. He was my housemate I lived with before. And I learned a lot doing that. But like, we know together as friends, like, I now understand that people have to value the service.
Yeah.
And then they get a result.
Exactly. And I think on that, I think for anyone wanting to do anything, starting off, and we've said it before in this podcast, but starting off for free is great and getting experience. But also at some point, it's like I say to my clients with a transformation, anything in life you do, and you can have a great year, but at some point that year ends, and at some point you've got to stop doing stuff for free. At some point you've got to treat your last result as being done and move on to the next person. You've always got to sacrifice who you were for who you want to be. That's like, that quote. You need to be able to draw a line under stuff and say, actually, I've got to a level now where I need to go a little bit further. Either whether that's charging more money, training a little bit harder, dying a little bit more, just in all areas, moving on to that next phase of your life. I think people need to do that. So, awesome. Good. I think that gives you a good background to start. So, questions. We're going to go through 5 main questions that me and Jerome are going to discuss, and then at the end we've got one little classic quickfire that I'm going to keep in. So, the first question, Jerome's results, if you go and look on his Instagram, I think Jerome's results are fantastic. And I would say, although he probably wouldn't, I think that his are probably more intermediate to advanced, some of them. Some of the methods and some of the lads that he's helping, some of the men he's helping. So what I wanted to talk about first was the differences between training and programming for beginners, intermediate, advanced, and maybe some of the other assumptions or connotations around that in terms of what you need to do to get between phases. So whether it's training, dieting, anabolics, whatever it is, just a little bit of a discussion between the three. So what's a beginner for you to start off? What would we say a beginner is? Let's both kind of discuss that.
I'm going to be honest and think they're all beginners.
Yeah.
I think they're all beginners. I say to the clients now, forget what you think you know, because what they think they know is not been working for them.
Yeah.
So they've got to really start from the basic again and strip it right back. And you get clients that come into you go, I've been doing push-pull legs, I've been doing this kind of training split from an Instagram bodybuilder, or I've been working out by doing an advertised workout that's free from a pure gym. And I think that's all great because at least they're coming to you with an idea of what exercises they like, but they always have an idea of what they dislike straight away, or what they can't do. But for me, a beginner is everybody.
This is why I want to get him on, because we have some great conversations. The first thing is, not many people are willing to say that, and I know this is maybe a bit controversial, but I'm telling you now, there's a big difference between exercising and training for a purpose and having a program. And a lot of people, you've got to understand, your training age, for me, is the day you start a proper program that's designed for you by a coach or a good quality program online. Probably not necessarily something that you find from a free website or something that's just generic. Or if it is that, when did you start logging it? When did you start applying progressive overload? When did you spend your time in the compound movements? And the natural thing for most people is that they think they've been training, but they've been exercising, and there needs to be a distinction between that. And when we're talking about beginners, intermediate, and advanced, I think what we're talking about, to clarify for people, is probably more training age, which is the years you've been following proper training programs and applying these things, as opposed to your actual age or just your time in the gym. People can be going to the gym for years, but they've never been writing down their workouts, they've never applied progressive overload, they've never done these key things. That the first thing that we would do in our workouts, and the first thing that we would do with anyone we're working with. And then probably as we get more towards, for me, intermediate is maybe 2 to 3 years of following good programs, or getting to that point, you've maybe had 1 or 2 good results, or you've had like a, not necessarily getting ready to get on stage, but you've got, I talk about this to my clients sometimes, you might have seen that, I think if you're listening now or you're watching on YouTube, if you think about your physique when you're really lean, if you've never been really lean, you need to do that first. Whether you're natural, taking gear, whatever it is if you diet down, have you got muscle everywhere? Is your physique full? Are there any gaps? Because a lot of people, when they diet down for the first time, they turn around, they've got no rhomboids, or they've got no lower lat, or they've got like specific parts on their physique, their calves. Lord knows, we've all had to improve them. But there is, and I think that for me is a bit of a classification. When you get to intermediate, for me, you've got a little bit of summit everywhere. You're still going to have weaknesses, but you've done your time in the game. And then you kind of like, you're at that point where you learn a little bit more, you've followed a few programs, you've got a little bit of knowledge. What do you think of it? Would you agree on that?
Yeah, I agree, definitely. At least 3 years. I still think when I find intermediates, even though they're, some of my clients they're in shape, and some people might look at them and go, wow, I'd love to look like X, Y, and Z, the client that I have, or any clients that you have. But they still don't understand. They're still missing the links. Like, they have the border of the jigsaw, but they don't have the middle. They don't have the picture.
Yes.
Because I'm old, I'm going to talk about kaleidoscope. Like, those things used to like that. And you couldn't get the picture, then suddenly like, oh, I can see everything.
Yeah.
That's the difference between getting an intermediate client or an intermediate person and taking them to advanced, or going from intermediate to closer to being more advanced.
So we'd say probably intermediate people probably do have the full picture. Maybe it's not at 100%, but they've not got gaps.
Yeah, they've not got gaps, so they've got like a border.
They know their diet.
They've got a strong structure.
They know their training. They maybe looking after their health a bit more, their sleep. they've got a good foundation. I think
they've got a good foundation, but they just can't link it to get like super lean or super strong.
Yeah.
Or they'll say my back hurts when I do an RDL, or they'll tell you my knees hurt when I do this, because they just don't understand the mechanics of what they need. They're still novice in that point, but they do have a decent rig on them.
Before we go to advanced, would you say, and I'll cover this as well, would you say there's any differences in terms of what you need to do between beginners and intermediate, or is it just, assuming a beginner, by the way, they haven't got any injuries, they kind of know what they're doing in the gym. I'm not talking about people who literally can't squat, can't do a press up, but a beginner who kind of knows the way around the gym but want to get that next level, as I always say. Would you say there's actually much difference between the program and the diet and what's needed, or is it just applying it between beginner and intermediate?
It's the consistency. Consistency and the understanding of what is needed.
Yeah.
For the beginner. I like beginners because you can take a really good beginner that's willing to learn and doesn't have any preconceptions of anything, and you can put them to an intermediate quickly.
Yeah, you can.
They can progress very quickly.
Yeah.
But definitely the difference between a beginner who might be following, say the beginner has the same program as the intermediate and the same diet from the same coach.
Yeah.
Because that does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah.
But the beginner might not just understand what is needed with a bit more intensity. They might not understand the difference between 7 to 10 or 6 to 12, where they're working on those rep ranges, the tempos, just small changes that they don't know yet. And the intermediate, he might still understand those things, but he's still not nailing them.
And those things that we're talking about, understanding rep ranges, this goes back to everything I fucking always talk about, is be sick of us hearing it say, but if you're logging it, if you've got a training program, how do you think you know what you need to do if it's a 6 to 8 rep range? It's from writing it down, it's from timing the game, it's from actually training hard and doing that. So that's good. I think we're on the same page there. And I think that probably for most of you listening to this podcast and the people that we work with, one of the things, and I've never lied about this, is that we're very fortunate, and I think with my 28 days and with what Jerome's doing now, in that the people we work with generally and the people we target are almost primed for these ridiculous transformations, because they probably just don't have that one thing. Whether it's, I always say, most people know someone in the gym has told them how to train, they've tried a diet once, most people they've got in shape once, haven't they? The difference with the intermediate is they're doing it consistently and they actually know what they're doing, as opposed to a beginner, I think, can get in shape once through almost just through hard work. Through maybe just through doing a training program and eating healthier, just thinking about their calories a little bit, or just watching what they eat, as much as it fucking pains us to say it. If you train hard enough, you will see some form of results. I think what I wanted to touch on, now we're getting to advanced days, is this belief for some people that to get to advanced or to get these ridiculous results is that it isn't that. It's almost like there has to be a secret, and is that secret steroids, anabolics, however you want to put it?
You know what I've found is that a lot of beginners take anabolics, they take AS, because they think that's going to skip everything that they need to know.
Yeah.
And people that are advanced and they've got great coaches who understand their bodies and they understand health, those advanced guys are taking the correct amount of dosages that they need, because they understand what they do and don't need.
Yeah.
You can find a beginner and he's taking all sorts of crazy stuff because Big Dave, sorry Big Dave, if I do actually love you, mate. I didn't mean saying Big Dave. So. There's also Big Dave, but because X, Y, and Z in the gym tells them, oh yeah, mate, you need to take this, and they'll get you to there.
Yeah.
I find that happens a lot.
Yep.
More in the beginners than it does in advanced. Because by the time they're more advanced and they're looking to be on stage, or they're really looking to be more advanced in their understanding of their body and how far they want to push it, they will go and get a great coach who understands these things. I mean, you're looking at like Victor Black, Callum Raystrick, James Sutton, they're all good Vaughn Wilson, these people that really know the depths of what's needed and not needed, and that's the difference, I think. But then you're looking at like, those guys are going to have to really pay for it then. Yeah. Like, we have a price, but they're going to have to go on a waiting list and pay for it. And these beginners here, they think, oh, I can just take this stuff. Yeah. And it's going to get me there. And it's going to get them nowhere. Because it's not working.
I think as a rule of thumb, if you listen to this now, and if you would, after what we've said, class yourself as a beginner, for me, even an intermediate, I think there's just, Obviously, I'm very pro-natural because I am obviously natural. But it's not to say I'll never take steroids. I would certainly I think over the next 10 years, I do think that the general public's perception on this stuff will change. I think that HRT, TRT, whatever you want to put it, testosterone for men, that's certainly the thoughts on that are changing. I think if I get to 35, 40, long way yet. You'll learn that. But once I get there, if I'm noticing a decline in my libido, in my general health, in my recovery, and it's my quality of life that's being affected, then I would consider it. But I think that for anyone in the beginner range especially, to just jump on a cycle, it's irresponsible for one thing. Not to say, and if you have done this, it doesn't mean you're fucked forever, but you need to get the right help.
Yeah,
and I think
it is irresponsible of some people as well that push it on them.
Yes.
And there's not that education at that level.
Yeah.
And I think you should really be looking to push your genetic potential as far as you can.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
And I think we have this discussion. We talk about this a lot in the gym, don't we? Like, it's such and such natural, or is fucking this, or like how strong they are compared to us. That's what lads do. They're doing this on the hack squat, or they're doing this. I do this, and that's what you're like. And obviously, we're fucking best mates. That's what we'll talk about. But what you've got to think is, and this is kind of, well, master, I think that I like to think I set an example to people at the minute of what is possible. And one of the big things in the future in my head would be, well, if I maybe do ever start taking anything, kind of like, not necessarily going against what I thought, but maybe then it's like, what's the word? Is it like, am I kind of then just jumping ship? Like, have I took it as far as I could take it? Yeah, it depends on, it's different for everyone. You'll never know.
You'll never know that, but I think we as a society shy away from things that we don't understand.
Yes.
But as we know, in America, you can get TRT. Most people take TRT. Doses. I have one client now that takes a TRT, and I had to go and search out the information of how to support him better.
Yes, exactly. So you went and searched for it. So to clarify on this, I think this would be good to touch on just briefly is testosterone replacement therapy or small doses of testosterone. I know absolutely fuck all about this, so Jerome's going to give you a little bit more information in a second. And we both aren't experts, to be clear on that. You should, and we both agree you should go and speak to experts on this. But I have no problem with someone who has low testosterone, who has chronically low testosterone, taking testosterone replacement therapy, HT. I wouldn't consider that doing a cycle or taking steroids. What we're talking about is beginners potentially doing Anavar, what other ones is that test? Like a stack or however you want to put it. A proper cycle to jump on stage or whatever. I don't think that's necessary unless you want to compete, and even if so, you should be at an intermediate level before you do it. But TRT and HRT or whatever, maybe that's something I think will become more prevalent in the future. I think
so,
that's a bit different.
I think there's quite a lot of men that use it now, they just don't talk about it. Some of them don't even train. They just generally have it for their life because of the depression. It can help with low libido, all these sort of things. And, the guy that I have that uses, he wrote it down on his information sheet when I sent him out his consultation, so I understood, and then we had a good talk about it. I then went and sought more information from some other coaches that taught me a lot, so that I fully understand what he needs and doesn't need. And I am no expert, and I'm not telling him this is what we should and shouldn't do. But
it's has changed. But it's an informed decision,
isn't it? And he has changed a lot, and things are working. Because prior, he was just doing it on his own. And
get help if you want to do it, I think, is the message here on this. Is go and get help. And I think that something as well, just to consider, we'll kind of finish up on this one. To get to the next level, whether you're thinking that you're beginner, intermediate, advanced, thinking about jumping on a cycle or whatever it is, when you're looking at making that level up in your physique and in your life, before you look at not necessarily taking any shortcuts, but it's like adding supplements to your diet. It's like, is EAAs going to help? Is creatine going to help? A little bit different, but my point is are you doing everything you can yourself to get there first, and or is it that maybe, like we said before, you've never weighed your food before? You've never weighed your food, you've never done a proper diet, you've never followed a structured resistance training program where you're applying progressive overload, you've never paid for help from a coach. If you miss out their middle steps and jump straight to fucking a cycle, that's when I think you're going to run into problems later on.
I think what's a really good point there is supplementation. Just some people will just tell somebody to take 100 different vitamin pills. And do they need to be spending that much money on those vitamins supplements? Probably not. And are we prescribing them with loads of different vitamins to just kind of make it seem like we're adding more value to our service? I think that's another thing. Like maybe introduce a multivitamin, a creatine, and a vitamin D.
Yeah.
But don't tell them to take 15 different tubs of vitamins from Supplement Needs, and the next thing you know, they're 250 quid down the hole.
Yeah. This is brilliant because it leads into the next question. So, on that, the overall standard of PTs, the PT industry, the results, I personally feel that there's a real, whether it's because of social media or people's egos or whatever, I think there's a real need for PTs at the minute to feel important. And that they almost want to be seen to be doing stuff. Just is it gimmicky? That's what we can discuss. Is it just that they want to be? I mean, things like I've talked before, but steps. You know, almost like giving clients stuff for the sake of it, almost filler in their programs.
Yeah.
So Jerome mentioned there about all these supplements a lot of people are taking, but do people need them? And how would you say that the PT industry as a whole is at the moment, both the positive and negative, in terms of the results, the attitude? It's a big question, but we'll have a go at it.
I'll be honest, right? When I started PTing, I was that knobhead PT.
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm a PT. I'm going to thrash you. I'm going to make you take loads of supplements and eat chicken and rice.
Yeah.
I was that guy.
Yeah.
And I'm honest about it, and I talk about it on Instagram.
And I still am.
and like, the difference, I think, is once you go and get more education and you understand what people need. Mm-hmm. So what I feel now is Instagram has given almost this sugar-coating liability. Oh, is that the right word? Liable? People can now do it. Anybody can do it now.
Yes.
And everybody's just copying everyone else, and they're writing out the same trash.
Yeah.
And nothing is personal. It's personal training, so it's not personal to those people.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
Great
that's
point.
massively lost. I also think that everybody wants to call themselves a transformation coach. Mm-hmm. But it's not a transformation when the pictures are taken in the sunbed on a selfie.
Yeah.
They ain't transformations.
Yeah.
You're also embarrassing that person.
Yeah.
By thinking you've got the right to post that.
Yeah.
And then the other things I think is the misuse of like exercise selection, or telling them to do more cardio or take more vitamins. You just don't understand what they're doing, and they all think more is more.
Yes.
And I mean, there's a lot of them, and like I look at like the trainers in Leeds, and some of the best trainers in Leeds, nobody even knows they're here.
Yeah.
Everybody only knows the trainers that are, on Instagram.
What I would say with everything is I never like to judge a PT in the gym necessarily. There's a lot of trolling goes on now. There's a lot of accounts on social media like, oh, there's the form for this, or they've got their clients doing this. There's some bad trainers. There's some things people should be doing. I agree on that. But I think that any PT, what I would always say is, and when I used to have my gym back in the day, what I used to say is, if I stopped you, if I said to you, whether it's your diet, whether it's the middle of a PT session, which I wouldn't do because it'd be a bit fucking awkward, but as long as you can explain why you're doing something, and you can logically reason like, right, this is why I'm doing this now, this is the order, this is what we're aiming for, then no one can really argue with it. The problem is now, go on.
That doesn't exist, mate.
That's exactly it.
It doesn't fucking exist. They're all like, I'm going to level up. I was like, just be 10% better.
Touch a new weight. And all this shit that people say.
When's your next client in? 4:30. Okay, show me the training program.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in my head. What's in your head?
Yeah.
What they're doing at 4:30.
If you turn up to a session, your PT makes it up.
Or you're getting from Aldi after your work.
Yeah.
Nah, mate.
Yeah, that's shit.
All in their head. Yeah. Nothing's written down. They don't know what they're doing. And to get results for people, you need to track everything. What they're doing. Because they want to know. They're going to go, Jerome, what did I lift last week? I'm going to go, you did 100 kilos for 6 reps.
And this week we're going to do 7, or we're going to do 102.5.
Yeah. Or we might even do 90 for 10.
Or you might have made a note on it and said, last week we did 100, but actually I think your depth wasn't as good, so this week we're going to scale it back and we're going to work on it.
There doesn't seem to be any of that anymore.
No. And there should be this in your own training program, by the way, for all of you. This is the importance of having a logbook, is that sometimes you might hit a new PB, or you might think, fucking hell, that was really good, but the importance of video and using the logbook, you can make a note and say, actually, on that bench, I lost scapular retraction, I moved from one side to the other, I didn't have a good base, I need to scale it back and practice that. Otherwise, yes, you might hit a PB this week, you might even hit a PB again next week, but if there's holes in your technique that you're not addressing, at some point you're going to plateau, and then you're going to be fucked, and then it's going to affect your ego even more. Sometimes it's better to step back and look at stuff in more detail. I think that what you're saying there about PTs and everything, I just think that there are some fantastic PTs, and I think the industry as a whole, there's some really good results online, and there's some people that we look to, and we're always trying to learn off people. And that's not just in America. I always fucking rabbit on about John Meadows and Eugene Taylor in Australia, and these people, Mark Coles when I went M10. There's people all over the country, but there's some great people in the UK as well, and there's some lads who are like, you know, not similar to us, but, you know, just normal coaches like us who are also getting good results. It's not just us. There's some fantastic coaches out there. But what I find is that those fantastic coaches, and this is maybe something I need to work on this year, and we've spoke about this, definitely need to post more on social media and get myself out there more. One of the things I'm actually a bit reluctant about doing is just like the kiss-arse nature of it all, and that like a lot of people copy each other's stuff, and a lot of it's regurgitated, and I feel like, you know, sometimes if something's not worth saying, I just don't feel the need to say it. Now, obviously, my clients and people that follow us, that's different. There's always going to be information I can give to them, and I just need to get that out there. That's fine. But I think what you'll find with a lot of PTs is, and we've mentioned this before, is that people will be putting stories on their, stories on their Instagram or stuff about their clients, and all their clients are doing the same exercises. Or they'll learn something from their coach who they're paying, and then the next week, guess what their clients are doing? It's the same thing you've seen them doing on their Instagram the week before for their coach. Now, for one thing, that's plagiarism, right? So I don't care what people say, it's their intellectual property, you've sent it on. You shouldn't be doing that. If you do it, I don't even mind it that much, but they should be tagging the coach. They should be giving them a bit of respect and saying, actually, I learned this from such and such. I'm now giving it a go with my clients.
There isn't much of that. There isn't much of
that. Now, I know there's, you know, people say there's no such thing as original idea. Everyone's always thought of everything, and, you know, it's people pay for implementation, not the information side of it. They want to know how you would do it. They want your way of they want your way of putting it across. Like the lads that we want my way of putting it across. But I think that what we've got to be aware of is, and just to sum up on this as the PT industry as a whole, is that look at the bigger picture. Whether it's like you're looking on social media, you're looking at the results, you're looking at hiring a PT, you're looking at exercises or information. Think, is this going to work for me? Have they got results with someone else? Is it just something, and I don't mean this about, what is their motive? Why are they posting this? Are they sharing their clients' results now because they're good results, or is it because they need more clients? Are they sharing it because they want to maybe use that client's reach on social media? For me, I want to be the best at what I do because of the results and because of who I am, not because I've met the right people on the right way and maybe he's landed lucky. And I believe in time that will pay off, and I know that you think the same way, and that's why we get on. Now, at some point, you've got to get out of that a little bit, and you have got to play the game a little bit, but just try to be a little bit more aware of that, because I think for us being in the industry, we see a lot of this copycat stuff going on. But for any PTs that are listening that are maybe struggling with that, I know that in some gyms, certainly when I was in a gym back in the day, a lot of people used to copy my stuff. But what you've got to remember is that the quickest way to escape that is just be even more yourself, because no one's ever going to be able to copy your way of doing it. No one's going to be able to copy me doing these videos. If someone is copying you in your gym, or even if you're some of the lads that are listening to training programs and you find that people are maybe copying the stuff you're doing, they're still not paying for the advice. They're always going to be one step behind you, and the more true you are to yourself with these things, you're always going to be one step ahead, and the more original, the more authentic you are, the more that's going to be the case, and that goes for everyone in every industry, I think.
Yeah, I think you have to be original. You have to be yourself.
Well, that's why we get on, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's both real. And that's what sells and gets you your market and gets you your pay at the end of the day, is being 100%. Who you want to be,
Next one, this is a good one, I think, for everyone. Now, for some people, they're going to say, I haven't got a training partner. Well, you can fucking still apply the information. Don't fucking moan on. Go get some friends. So, how to be a good training partner?
Turn up on time.
Anyone who knows me knows I'm always fucking late.
No, you're good now.
I'm getting back. It's because he's scary. It's because he's
really
scary.
Good.
I'm getting good. And I remember when I first started training with Jerome, and fucking hell, it's the first time I've been on time for anything. I was always at the gym on time. So yeah, so how to be a good training partner? What do you think? And then I'll give my thoughts as well. Why does it work for us, I think?
It works for us because we both have the same enthusiasm to train. Mm-hmm. We also understand each other's bodies, and where we're weakest and where we have slight injuries, and how to spot each other better. Yeah, we're also willing to push each other a little bit further, when it's needed. Mm-hmm. We also understand that, I know when you're going to fail, you know where I'm going to fail, but you'll also tell me to do 3 more, and that's why we have these hiatus pictures where you're just laughing at me.
We've got a selection of world-class photos on social media of me essentially laughing at Jerome after the set, where he's either collapsed or I've made him do more and he's getting annoyed.
But then, I always say, the most anabolic thing you can have is a good training partner, Forget about anabolics.
That's a great quote.
Get a good training partner.
Yes.
You could be 40% more anabolic straight away.
Yeah, and I think, joking aside, as much as I'm saying, get a training partner, get some friends, I do think that actually the best thing you can do is create your own environment through that. Is join a good gym, try to meet other people, have a training program, have a community online like what I do, what Jerome does with his clients. Have a community of people who are chasing the same goals. Something there that I thought was really good. I think we're both, and this is the thing, very present when we're training each other. In that, we're not on our fucking phones. We'll have to remind each other to get content for social media, and more for the people that follow and be like, oh, we'll get a video of this one or that, because for us, when he's doing his set, I'm focusing on that completely. So if you do have a training partner, you need to get used to right, we're doing a pendulum squat, and I know that he's going to get stuck roughly in the bottom third on rep 2. Or for me on the hack squat, it'll be right, we're going to do this many plates, and it'll be and we know that on the first rep I'm going to get buried, and that's just the way it is. But you learn that over time, and what you find is the more you put into that other person, or the more you put into your own notes when you're programming, you're writing stuff down, the more that you give to the process, the more you get back out of it, because then the next week you've got a little bit of a better understanding.
It's a relationship.
Yeah, and the best thing is with that is it is irreplaceable in that when you get it right, it's fucking class. There's loads of times, we all know that I do like going out on weekends occasionally, and there's been loads of times on a Monday morning when I might have been out late or I'm mega hungover, and I still go to the gym the next day. Do you think that I would want to do that if I was going to the gym on my own? Of course I wouldn't. It's because you've got a training partner, it's because you've got a structure. And yes, having a training program, having deadlines will give you some of that, but another level of accountability is being that training partner. Yeah. In terms of what was spoken there, in terms of the injuries, the weak points of that, do you think, what tips or what stuff can people look out for in their sessions, even if they're training themselves or maybe they're helping their partner? Would you say it's specific coaching cues? Is it tempo? What tips would you give people to be a better training partner? We'll try and give them maybe a couple of tips each.
I would start with tempo. Understanding tempo and understanding how we both differently control the rep, but we still understand.
Because I think we're quite big on that, actually, aren't we? I think we often on sets say, what are we doing, particularly on legs.
You'll also hold me accountable to it. You'll be like, slow it down.
Yeah. Or deep, or what's the range of motion? I think that's a good one. So looking at your training partner and saying, when they're warming up, or even you yourself, if you're videoing your sets, when you're warming up, you're doing a hack squat and you're going really deep and you're thinking, fucking hell, he's getting good flexion at the knees, engaging his quads, getting a stretch full range. And then all of a sudden you put more weight on, and that disappears. Well, you've got to say, why is it disappearing?
Yeah.
That side of things, what else would you say? What do you think?
I think that we understand intensity in those different sets that we do.
Yeah.
So we know if we'll say, right, this is going to be a working set. Yeah. And you'll all say to me, right, get your head on, get into it.
Get angry.
Yeah, get angry. You'll tend to get angry.
Get angry. Get angry. Half from get angry. What you doing? Get angry.
Come Tuesday, I've screamed enough. I can't scream no more. I'm losing my voice.
That's a good one. I always think that's a good one. I used to say that when I used to PT clients. Is if you say to someone, get angry, for some reason, they fucking get angry. They'll be they'll grunt on a bit more. They'll drive a bit more. They'll create a bit more power. They'll get a bit more torque. However you want to put it, they'll pull a little bit harder. So I think that's always a good cue to maybe say it yourself. But something there, I know we've spoken about this as well, is I think we'll have a fucking laugh when we're training. I've always done that with mates. In between sets, we'll always joke on, we'll have a laugh, even as soon as the set finishes and you put it down, I'll normally start laughing if it's been a heavy set, because just what the fuck was that? It's hilarious that we went that hard, or we'll fail at 8 reps and we'll do a couple of forced reps and we're both oh my god, that was horrendous, and we'll start laughing at the end. But we're enjoying it. Yeah, we're trying to enjoy it. It's not too serious. When it's go time and when we're switching on and it's your working sets, it's go time. But other than that, though, in between, we're trying to have a laugh. You should enjoy going to the gym.
Yeah, you should enjoy it.
I think we're going to lose. We're going to lose a generation of training. I think there's going to be a whole generation of people that are either unbelievable elite athlete, world class bodybuilders, or that don't go to the gym, because a lot of people doing it at the minute, it's mega serious.
Yeah, it's almost become fashionable
to be serious.
To be serious.
Yeah.
And overcomplicate it all.
Yes.
And then the next thing you know, because they're now, like we talked about beginner, advanced, intermediate, they're beginners. They're now overcomplicating it, and they're not getting no results.
Beginners want to be advanced, don't they? That's the thing. They want to jump. They want to get there right away, and they're seeing how advanced people, Jordan Peters, whoever it is that you follow on social media, are grunting on, and like AJ Morrison are talking about intensity, and they're getting in the zone, and respect to them people, they're fucking athletes, but it's their whole life. They're pro level athletes. You can't take that approach and that intensity and then do it as a beginner when you've only got fucking 10 kilos aside on the fucking bench press or whatever it is. Best build, do you know what I mean? Like, you need to build up. Like, it is literally, it's the definition of all the gear, no idea. You need the time in the game before you can almost even apply that level of commitment.
Yeah.
And I think, having that fun, if you like, and just enjoying it is massive. It's really important.
That's also influenced by social media, though, isn't it? The people they follow, the people that they are attracted to, the people that they buy these programs for.
And I think as well for both of us probably, and I think particularly, definitely me as well, I think for a lot of lads, I think a lot of people see what I do as being very serious, particularly the 28 days, you from the outside, like I say, people messaging like, fucking hell, looks intense, or like, big scary session, like the both of yous are fucking all tattooed and that, and fucking going mental and shouting at each other. But that's just, you need to be able to turn that on and off. And actually, that's just one part of my life. Like, I can do that on a video, I can do it when I'm trying to motivate people. But then if someone needs an arm around their shoulder, or someone's having a really tough time, you can't be like that all the time. And you've got to remember as well, not everyone's us. Hopefully you can see we're both passionate about it.
Yeah, not everybody's.
We're mega passionate about it, but we understand that our clients aren't always going to be like that.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
So the approach is different. So if you do maybe this week, after this video, after this podcast, say, I'm going to try and get a training partner, or you take someone new to the gym, don't expect them to have the love for it that you do right away. You've almost got to train them up to get to that point, just like what we do with our clients.
Yeah, totally, yeah. And you got to be, as a coach, you got to be different for everybody. Everybody's different. Yeah. You got to have a different face for everybody.
Yeah, completely agree. Right, next one. We're going to go a little bit more life stuff now. I think this is going to be useful for some of the older men that follow us and that listen. So we're going to talk a little bit about Jerome's changing career and his lessons from the Marines and how maybe that can help you wherever you're at right now. So sometimes people think it's too late. It's always a classic thing, isn't it? Or you've got something that you really wanted to do. You won't. People always say they don't. You won't regret failure as such. But you will regret maybe not having a go. Maybe you'll think about the things that you wanted to do but you never done. So, lessons from the Marines, mate.
Yeah, lessons from the Corps.
Corps.
You love the Corps?
The Corps! I always go on about the Corps. I don't know if you won't know, but I'm the only person that's allowed to take the piss out of Jerome. So I managed to get away with this regularly. So it's the Corps. So what, like I say, so let's say 35-year-old man, or anyone even lads my age, what would you say are the main things you learned in your time? And as much detail as you want to go into, little mate, what would you say
the main things I learned? So important things is that everybody is different. I came from an institutionalized organization where everybody was almost molded into the same person. Yeah. And people forget that when you join the Marines, and I didn't know when I joined up, you're getting trained to kill people. That is your job. Yeah. Your end result is you're trained to take on the enemy and take it down. That's the role. Mm-hmm. And then when you leave the Corps, I left with the same fucking bag that I joined with. Yeah. You know what I mean? I didn't have no belongings. I didn't know what council tax was. I'd never been to Morrison's. I didn't know none of this stuff. Yeah. So, and you get a train ticket and you leave. And I always explain to it as, I might have talked to you about it before, as the Neverland. So it's like Peter Pan. So like, we're all in the Marines, but you live in Neverland. Yeah. You never grow up. Yeah. So I might be 35, but the lads down company lines, they might be 18 to 35 or older, 50. Yeah. And you're living in Neverland. You're chasing Tinkerbell around Plymouth, trying to get laid when you get to go out at night. Yeah. You're chasing Captain Hook or people when you go overseas on tour. Yeah. And you come back, and then when you leave Neverland, your hand gets removed from the water, and as soon as the ripples stop rippling, like, they don't care anymore, and you're out. Yeah. And you're lost. So that you have a complete disassociation from society. Yeah. And you think everybody's against you. And because you're now on your own, so I left and you're on your own. You've not got 500 to 800 other like-minded people around you. Yeah. You're now on your own, and you got to work it out, and it's difficult to do that. Mm-hmm. It's difficult to do that. I had trouble with alcohol. I was very bad with alcohol. Mm-hmm. I had trouble with even queuing up in shops or coffee shops. Like, what the fuck's that about? Yeah. People are like pissing me off. Mm-hmm. I'll get stressed. I couldn't understand how everybody's just walking down the street. There's no order to anything. And it took me to the point where, you know, I stopped drinking because I would go out and just completely try and drown this noise, this like white noise that was inside of me.
Yeah.
I was trying to quell that beast. And then your eyes get open to the fact that, you know, it's a big world, you know. You're not the most important person in the world. You know, everybody's trying to get on with their life, and they didn't decide, you know, oh, why don't I go give Jerome a hug like he served his country? Like, that's a load of shit. Like, they're all trying to get on with their lives. You're getting on with your life. Everybody around you is getting on with their own lives. They have their own problems. You know, and I think once you realise that and you accept that, then you can grow as a person. And moving from one career to another, which it takes time to adjust. Like, a lot of time, it does take a lot of time to adjust. It took me, I'm okay at PT now. I think I'm doing all right. But, you know, it took me 17, 18, 19, 20. It took me 3 years. It's taken me 3 years to actually get and understand how I can be better at this job.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to move from one career to another career and just suddenly be great at it, because you've got to start at the bottom again. But you got to find your feet. You got to find what motivates you. You got to find out what's going to fulfill you. Fulfillment is everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
For me, like, I'm not a monetary driven person. I don't care about things. I don't care about material things. I really don't care about any of that stuff. I care about fulfilling my life and about fulfilling other people's lives. Yeah. And you can do that through giving them something they never thought they could have. Yeah. And once they break that sort of barrier, and I've worked it out now, it takes around about 10 weeks. Once they get over that 10-week marker, everything changes. And they're different, and the life changes, and they become these much stronger, driven, confident people. And you think, oh, I'm helping them achieve that, you know, and
that's the best feeling, isn't it?
That's the best feeling, and I feel fulfilled from that. And I think if you're going to change careers, not become a PT, or you're going to change your career, you need to be fulfilled as people. Yeah. Like, we as humans need fulfillment. We don't need money. We all need money to survive and pay our bills and put shoes on our feet and feed the dog and take your missus out for a meal or go for a pint. You need money to do that. Yeah. But you don't need loads of money. No. You need to be fulfilled. So if whatever that is that those people feel that they need to find that human spirit, to give them that happiness, peace, happiness and love, that will fulfill them. Yeah. And they'll live longer.
They'll have better quality of life, better.
And I don't think, I don't have a guilty conscience. That's another thing that I'll say. Like, my missus will tell me I'm very non-emotional, and I think that's come from being in the Marines.
I think we're both a bit like that. My mates will tell you, make a lot of jokes about me and my lack of emotion with some stuff. I don't have a lot of empathy sometimes. I'm working on that.
Yeah, and you have to work on it.
Yeah, you have to work on it.
I'm pretty much non-emotional, but it means, like, that can change with time, but you do see things black and white. Like, there is no grey. Things are black and white. God forbid, and I hope it never happens, but if somebody used to phone me up and say, Jerome, look, unfortunately, one of your members of the family has died, I'd look at that black and I would say, okay, that's bad news, it's black. I'll go to white. I won't sit in the grey and cry in my bed. Yeah. I'll go, okay, move on.
And do you think you learned that in the Marines? Or do you think that's something you've learned since?
No, I learned that in the Marines,
and it's helping you now.
It's helping me now make better decisions, like non-emotional decisions about money, about understanding who I will and won't train, understanding that, you know, I'm not going to give you a hug. I'm going to look after you, but if you mess up, I'm going to tell you, and I'm just going to be honest with it, because I was scared of being honest with people, and I think people actually respect you being honest with them.
I think the more closer you are to your own core values, when you talk about fulfillment and stuff, I think the more that everyone understands what they're actually trying to do. And for some of you might be thinking, I'm trying to think of my friends, you're a mechanic or you're working in an office or whatever, but you will have something that gives you a good sense of fulfillment. It might be that you want to go and do that podcast. It might be that you want to spend more time with your friends, with your family.
Play football.
But playing football on a weekend, whatever it is, but whatever gives you the most not even necessarily pleasure, but the most sense of accomplishment, the sense of like that you're living life. The more you know that, the more you can almost start having these operating principles where you say to yourself, they get you closer to that thing. And I think what you've got to remember is, or something that I certainly deal with a lot of times, that not everyone has that. Not everyone knows what they want to do.
Yeah.
And it can make other people uncomfortable when you are a little bit, not emotionless. And I like to say it is probably something I need to work on sometimes, but I'm the same. If a client says to me like, oh, this has happened or this has happened, I'm like, right, well, it's happened. Like, it has happened. The fact you're telling us, it's already gone. So now what are we going to do? Control the controllables. How do we move forward? What is the next step after this to get closer to where we want to be? We're kind of dwelling on it too much. It's not to say that you shouldn't have, you shouldn't grieve, you shouldn't be proud of yourself when you do something good or something bad. You know, yes, you need to have time on things, but at some point, we said this at the beginning, you need to draw a line under it and move to the next thing.
Yeah, you do need to draw a line under it and move to the next thing.
So for you, I know this is something I want to kind of touch on, is that you're going to be taking a lot of this. And I think that a lot of people, Marines, I think probably certainly I maybe did before I knew you, a lot of people like, I wouldn't say maybe putting them on a pedestal is the wrong term, but I think there's this assumption that they're like hardcore, or like there's all this, the myth, I would want to put it.
True.
But so for you now, one of your things you're going to work on this year, and you're going to have your new thing, Surviving the Cut. Yeah, so you're going to be taking some of these lessons that we talked about and putting men through the good trainings, if you like, or the challenges that you had maybe over a weekend, so that the normal men can go and give this a go, essentially, isn't it? So talk to a little bit about that, or what the plan is.
The plan is, and it is going ahead, is myself and another former Marine, Denny Champ. We're going to do Survive the Cut. And Survive the Cut will be done as intakes, so you'll be intake 001 when you start.
Yeah.
And there'll be 6 and 8 hour evolutions of mental fortitude and physical attributes. Mental fortitude tests and physical attribute tests will conduct over 6 hour periods done through the night, so you won't be done in the day.
Sounds cool as fuck, doesn't it?
So we'll have different options. You'll do one down in Dorset, you'll be done on the beach, in the sea, and we'll have boats.
Yeah.
And you'll have to swim, so don't apply if you can't swim to that one. And you'll do surf training, you'll do surf drills, and other evolutions that we have planned.
Mm-hmm.
And the second option will be done up in Yorkshire, and that will be the green roll, but as we call forest and hills,
right,
and rivers, and that will be done up there. And it'll consist of you just getting given a grid reference. Mm-hmm. You'll apply to Survive the Cut. We will decide if you're willing to do it, and how you do that is by writing 100 words, and we'll take your application from there. And then you get given a grid reference if you apply, and you'll just turn up and it will begin.
Sick. So that's coming soon as well. So I think what I wanted to why I wanted to ask that is that what I like is, and this is for everyone that's listening, is turning, whether it's your career, your life, whatever it is turning the positives, taking the positives from every situation, and you can actually, not that it's about earning money, but you can make a career from it. You can take, as well as your PT, it's saying, right, I'm going to have this side business where I take these positive things, everything. You can tell how deep and how passionate I was when I was talking about there, about making the changes, about coming back into society, what he's learned, black and white, how to move on, how to do all these things. But then taking that and running with it. A lot of what have these ideas, these fucking hell, took me best part of 18 months to fucking do this podcast. These ideas that we want to do, and they're the things that you'll regret that you don't do. So whatever the idea is, fucking go and do it. So the last thing I want to do, mate, before we get into the quickfire round, just some last little words on kind of, if there's anyone listening who's maybe thinking about changing careers, facing their fears, adversity, whatever it is, couple of sentences, 30 seconds, what would you say?
Fear is false evidence appearing real.
That's it, yeah.
And that is what it is. You think about nightmares, it's just chemical reactions in your brain, it's not actually real. So you got to be devoid of that fear, and if you want to go and achieve something greater, then you need to make that decision to go and do it. And that decision can be as simple as writing it down in a book, or writing it down on your phone and saying, October the 28th, I'm doing it.
Love it.
And make a solid decision and stick to it and hold yourself accountable to someone else.
Yes. Love it. Great. Right. Bit of fun at the end. I'm going to keep these in because I like doing it with Reese in the previous episode. So I've got some quick fire questions. They're going to go and just try and, how will I explain it? The further on we've got 8 questions in total. Some of them will be quick answers. The closer we get to the end, you can have a little bit more time to elaborate. 10, 15 minutes this last bit maybe, so I don't know how long it'll take. But yeah, just whatever first pops into your head, and then if you want to elaborate, you can. First 4 are easy, last 4 are a little bit deeper. Oh. So, first up, are you ready?
Yeah. I'm worried.
Burgers or pizza?
Burgers.
I love a burger. I love best place for burgers.
Oh, Byron Burger are good in Leeds.
You like Byron Burger?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried it. There's a one in Leeds. If anyone in the northeast, called Slap and Pickle.
Oh, I was going to say that too.
Fucking great, really good.
Like a chili burger.
Had it the other week. It was top notch. So if you're here, maybe give that one a go. Yeah. Next one. Would you rather have big arms or big legs?
Big legs, because I don't have them.
I'm trying. I think I want bigger arms. Everyone wants what they don't have, don't they? Next one. High or low volume when it comes to training? What do you prefer?
Low.
Why?
Because I learned that I never did it and I needed to do it.
Yeah.
And it's worked for me.
We're very low volume approaching with training, aren't we? We maybe do no more than 2 sets on anything, actually, do we?
No, not really, no.
We don't do anything more than 2 sets, but that doesn't include my working sets. We'll build up and we'll have 2 sets, and those 2 sets, those are the sets that you see on Instagram where we're shouting and screaming at each other and we're going fucking mental, so it takes a bit more. But what do we do? Maybe it's a session, 4 or 5 exercises, 2 sets on each. So our total session might be 8 or 12 sets at the most. So think of how many you do and think of the quality that you're getting in. Think, could you make it better? Deadlifts or squats?
I'm rubbish at both.
I knew you were going to say that. I'm not saying that.
I'm trying to be a better deadlifter, so I'm going to go with deadlifts.
I've got some world-class videos of them doing both. They're entertaining. Your training partner should always have a log of videos of the other person being shit at something. No, you're getting better. I am
getting better.
You've got a lot better. Your legs have grown loads.
They have
since
loads,
not just because of me, but since we started training, I think your legs have grown loads. I think your deadlift is because his back is that strong, he just tries and mongs it up. If anyone's ever seen anyone deadlifting with no leg drive, it is this guy. And I've got a selection of photos afterwards where his face is very puffy and shocked at the fact that
things have stronger clients than me are doing deadlifts.
Yeah, Jerome's got a client. What's her name? You've got what's that lass's name?
Way.
Right, Way. It's one of Jerome's clients. What does she weigh? What's her kilos?
She is now 64.
So this lass is 64 kilos that he trains, right? And she can deadlift, what does she do?
145.
Deadlift 145. So she is stronger than me and him. Not a little bit. No. She's stronger than me.
She had 2 plates in the pendulum, 40 kilos yesterday.
Yeah. Fucking sick.
What's that about?
How good's that? Structured training program, that's why you need it.
Consistency.
Next one, we're getting into the maybe it's a little bit detail on. So just however much detail you want to go into these. So what is the worst place you have been to?
The worst place I've ever been to is the worst and the best place is Afghanistan.
Okay, so that answers the next question as well, so go on.
It's the worst and the best place because we used to call it going home. Like when we used to go back to Afghan, it was like going home. And I had a mentor once, and I did the course at FLF, the internship, and he used to ask us this question: when did you last find love, peace, and happiness? And I used to tell him it was Afghanistan, only because the peacefulness of, say, a quiet morning with the sun coming up and the mountains, but also the love for everybody around you. But then you felt free because you're in a country that doesn't care about monetary things, but they care about something greater than themselves. Like, you can't fight against the self-belief that if I am willing to kill myself, I will go to a greater place. So until you truly have experienced that, you can't appreciate how much you understand the love of that.
Sick.
It's mad.
That's a good answer. We're not going to get a better... I'm going to struggle in future episodes to get a better answer than that, people. I think... I'm going to try not to butt in on these too much when I'm asking people, but I think for me, maybe the theme there would be obviously very strong sense of beliefs and everything around it, but also it's probably when you are most present.
Yeah,
And you had a community. and you are in taking it day by day, I imagine as well. Yeah. They would be the three things that I probably would look into that and say.
We'll hopefully
and that's what we're trying to recreate now, isn't it? We're talking about you need to be present in your day and look at how we do it, have a community, like-minded people working towards the same goal, a purpose, and that creates this, as we said, peace, love, happiness, everything else. Last two. What is the worst piece of advice anyone's ever given you? I think it's always a funny one. Or maybe it's what you've heard. No, I'm thinking, what's the worst piece of advice?
Worst piece of advice I've ever had? Oh man, that's you put me on the spot there. I don't actually know the answer to that.
What's maybe something that you hear regurgitated that you just flat out don't believe?
I don't even know, man. I'll have to come back to that one. Ask me the next one, I'll get back to that.
What's the best piece of advice?
The best piece of advice I've ever had is from an old sergeant major of mine called Jim Morris, who said to me, "Don't take life so serious." And I will always remember that, because I was pretty serious at one point.
Yeah, I agree. I think we all need to laugh more.
Yeah, we do, yeah. I think the worst piece of advice I've ever been given is don't eat yellow snow, because you eat yellow snow and it's not nice.
On that note, we are done, mate. Thank you. Pleasure. I appreciate it. Good man. Right, that is it. Episode is done. You can catch Jerome on all his social media profiles. I'll put them in the links below. Thank you. I hope you liked it. Do a favour, as always, smash that like button, drop a comment, do all the things that you know that I would want you to do. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. That was class. Thanks, mate. I really enjoyed it. It was good. Awesome. Thank you very much.
You've been listening to Aesthetically Trained, the podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and spread the word.